Hi, it's the Queen of Information. This is part 3. Eveinstein reveals Bob Dylan's other family. Albert Einstein, metaphysician, the smartest man in history, said he wants to understand the mind of God so I can feel what God feels. Nature is obliged to give us our heart's desire. So Einstein is the voice of the reasons, God's reasons. It says in the Bible, in the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God. In Greek, the word means logos. Logos means reasons, order, logic. So Einstein can know the mind of God by logically examining the data, and that's what he does. Actually, Einstein is a girl, has been reborn as a girl. That would be Eve. Timothy Birdsong is Einstein projection. And here is Sarah. This is Abraham. Abraham's wife, Sarah, in the Bible, was 90 years old, and God gave her a baby to reward her. And Timothy Birdsong, being Sarah, has been given or has conceived 3 babies, triplets. Giancarlo Arturo was the son of Timothy Birdsong, and the son, Reverend Dr. Wilburn Daniel. Timothy Birdsong's biological father. The other child is Jesus Christ, Charan Singh, who surrendered his identity to Gurinder Singh. Gurinder Singh is retiring. Jesus Christ is retiring. Okay. However, Charan Singh took Timothy Birdsong, Mary Magdalene, across the ocean of existence into the real world, and then he got into her womb. He is also the son of the Son. And Timothy Birdsong had been recognized on the astral plane as the best mother in the world. So Charan Singh got the best mother in the world, and he knew what he was doing, and he earned it, because for 40 years he sat attending to Satangis, who are the lost angels, the fallen angels that followed Lucifer to earth, and they were so guilt-ridden, they just wanted to die. So she was able to see what Charan Singh saw in these people, and they looked like monsters. You could never have figured that by the way he treated them. He was very kind. He gave them bliss with his eyes. He answered all their questions, and he was returning them. He was taking them to the sun, where they can burn for eternity, burn away their individuality, and feel bliss. That's the only way you can escape being alive. Christianity was given, published by uneducated disciples, and they gave Christians the wrong impression that you can die and go to heaven. Mary Magdalene, they took her notes, but they didn't ask her to explain her notes because she was a girl, and they thought she wasn't. They didn't want to humble themselves to admit that they needed the help of a girl, Jesus Christ's wife, the only one who understood Jesus' deep teachings. The educated disciple, Judas Iscariot, had killed himself, so he wasn't available to think it through. And so Christ came back to straighten out the mess and tell the world that Christianity is not representative of his teachings, of Christ's teachings. And it's a mess. And the disciples, James the Greater, is now called Father Thomas Walters, of St. Francis of Assisi. He founded St. Francis of Assisi, Friends of the Poor, and he makes the people so dependent. They have no will. They have no imagination. So they're like walking dead. They give them drugs all the time. They call them crazy. And that's a mess too. So Christ wanted people to take responsibility for what they have done. So he's allowing his wife, Mary Magdalene, to tell all she knows and all she finds out in her research. Okay, like I said, they have given her 3 babies so that she'll be happy and fulfilled, because Einstein would not want to stay on the earth and be the mother in feminine form if he was bored. So they want to make sure that Mary Magdalene Einstein is not bored but feels good. She was Pocahontas at first. She integrated, participated in integration because she married a settler. She was a chief, a princess of an Indian chief who saved the life of a settler by putting her head where her father was going to chop off his head. So she was courageous, and she went to England with her husband, and they liked her there, and so this is the beginning of integration. Of course, her grandson, Dr. Martin Luther King, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Lou Rantiger, took it a step further. Also, Abraham Lincoln. She was Mary Todd Lincoln. They freed some of the slaves too. And the slaves were not the Jews of that time, or the black people of this time. And they cry victim, but really they're punishing themselves for feeling guilty for having participated in killing Christ along with Pontius Pilate, who was Michael Bublé's wife, Lilith, his first wife before Eve, the one that committed the problems that Eve paid for, because she was blamed. Okay, let's move along. This is Superman. Sing Birdsong was hit in his car by a big truck, but he had a guitar and computers in the trunk, so he wasn't injured. This is Superman. And here you see his motorcycle. He rode his motorcycle from New York to Los Angeles all by himself. Very, very strong. This is his father. He's the only child of Edwin Birdsong, who was Johann Sebastian Bach and Irving Berlin. This is an album cover that Sing Birdsong's mother and her father created this new form of music, black country folk music, and with T. Michelle Birdsong's lyric. She also created this image. Gary Bird reminded her. His hair, she plaited his hair, his afro, and the rest of a lot of black people picked up on it, and it became a trend, playing the hair. Some people made a business of it, charged money for it. Stevie Wonder, Snoop Dogg, Nina Simone, Will Smith's wife, Kim Kardashian, Bo Derek. Well, these stars started wearing their hair plaits in movies.